We move to my number 6 edge rusher, and it's Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. You're talking about a guy here, 6'3", 240 pounds. The thing that should jump out at you looking at his profile here is that he's a redshirt sophomore. So you're talking about a young pup, man, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, okay? Young guy, lot to learn, and so you have to take that into consideration as well as we flip this thing over and take a look at his card. And so the first thing we talk about is his strengths. And for Azeez Ojulari, it's his physicality, man. This guy is extremely physical. For a 6'3", 240-pound defender coming off the edge, man, is he physical. Stout at the point of attack. And I think the physicality is so noticeable, and you can tell when a guy's got shock and violence in his hands. Azeez Ojulari has heavy hands, man. It reminds me of when I watched Khalil Mack coming out of Buffalo, just how violent his hands were. And I'm not saying that this is what this guy is. Obviously, I don't think that's what his potential is. But Khalil Mack's hands were so violent. I just remember him just destroying tackles with just sheer heavy hands that they weren't prepared for. And you see that with Azeez Ojulari from time to time. So his hands are definitely heavy. That's where that physicality comes from, and that's why he's so stout at the point of attack. He's also got, for his hands to be as heavy as they are, they can be quick as well. He's got a beautiful dip and flatten move to turn the corner, which is the next strength. So we'll just go ahead and couple those together. Quick hands to dip, flatten, and bend and turn the corner. So it's a beautiful thing. It's poetry in motion when he puts it all together, and you see him capture the edge, turn the corner with quick hands to slap down the tackle's hands, turn that corner. He dips so that tackle tries to recover and push him up the field. He dips that shoulder so they don't get a good piece. He then flattens, sticks his outside foot, gets parallel to the quarterback, flattens now instead of taking that arc. He flattens to the quarterback, and he can bend and turn that corner and get to the quarterback, and you see him do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, that sequence of moves that I just referred to and ran down, if you can master that at the next level, like a Robert Quinn, like a DeMarcus Ware in his prime, if you can master the ability to use quick hands to then dip, flatten, and bend the corner and capture the edge and flatten to the quarterback, you can make a lot of money and play a lot of years in this league. If you don't have a changeup to that fastball, if that's all you got, but you're damn good at it, you can stick around in this league for a very long time, because that move right there itself scares the hell out of tackles. And then all you got to do off of that is hard outside, back inside, crossover. Got him. So it's not hard. If you can come with that fastball, which he has, and have it be one that you can move around, because his fastball, while it's fast, it isn't 99. It's more like 96, 95, but it's got movement to it, okay? It's not just coming straight. He can dip, he can flatten, he can bend, and he can turn the corner. And if you can do that, you can become a problem in this league. Goes after the ball. I love it, want more of it. Too many times guys are infatuated with the monster hit. They want to get on SportsCenter's top 10 for laying out a quarterback with a clean shot. And that's great. You know what I want? I want the football, okay? You could not touch the quarterback. I mean, you could not lay a single finger on him. He doesn't know you're coming, and he's standing back there gripping a ball in one hand. And if you just run up and snatch it from him, I'm more excited about that than the kill shot and he hangs on to the rock, okay? So he's one of those guys, he's looking for the rock. The ball's coming out. If he's got a chance, if he's got one of those rushes where you're pushing him around and the quarterback's just standing there, well, he's going to swipe at it on his way past, okay? If he's getting there and the quarterback doesn't know, oh, ball's coming out for sure, okay? So I love that about Azeez Ojulari as well. Plays under control, man. There aren't many times where you see this guy playing out of control, where you see him helter-skelter like a chicken with his head cut off, and he's out of position. He plays under control. High energy and motor. And usually when guys have high energy and they've got a big motor, they're just running around, you can get some misdirection and you can get guys out of position where they're supposed to be. I talked about that when we were talking linebackers with Pete Werner. He's just running around. He's got so much energy, and there's so many times where he's not where he's supposed to be because he's got so much energy and he's just running around, and he's not as disciplined as you would like him to be. He's not playing under control. You don't have that issue with Azeez Ojulari. Good athleticism. It's not great, but it's above average and it's above baseline. And so he's got good athleticism. It could be better, but it's good enough for him to pose a problem for NFL caliber tackles. And he's got versatility. This was a guy that stood up at Georgia a ton, dropped into coverage at times, rushed. So, there's a question to be asked, and I'm going to ask that question. As a matter of fact, let's get to him and his weaknesses, and we start with him being a tweener. So, in my notes, I put not ideal length for a 3-4 outside linebacker, not the length you're looking for to be able to bench press a tight end or a tackle and get involved in the run game as consistently as you would want a guy to do. But he's not as fluid as you would like him to be a 4-3 outside linebacker off the ball as a will, okay? But then he's not big enough if you want him to stick his hand in the dirt as an even front end. So in a 4-3 base as an end, he's not 6'3", 262. He's not 2'3", 255. He's 6'3", 240. So, there's he's like kind of in the middle of everything. Ideally, I think he's probably most suited for a 3-4 edge rusher. That's what I see his future in the NFL as. I don't think he's a guy that's going to put on 15 pounds and be able to put his hand in the dirt and you feel comfortable with him doing that. I think he might be more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, and I think you just roll with that with Azeez Ojulari. Limited tools in his rush belt. Again, I talked about most of these guys you're projecting. He's another one of these guys you project. He's not ready to go as a pass rusher right now. He's got the one thing that I see him excelling at is, again, the quick hands, the dip flatten move that he has, and him being able to bend and turn the corner. That's problematic for a 6'5", 6'6" tackle that wants to bend at the waist and not bend at the knees. Those guys are going to struggle with an Azeez Ojulari. But he didn't have anything off of that move. There is no spin move. There is no crossover. There isn't anything that gets you excited about him. And right now, I don't even see, with him having heavy hands, I should see STP all day long. I don't see it right now. There's no speed to power that you get excited about. So he's got limited tools in the rush belt right now. But it's not something that can't be overcome and he can't get better at. Redirect and acceleration aren't the greatest. When you see somebody run read option at him, his reactionary skills aren't up to par a lot of times. If that quarterback has any wheels, if that running back has wheels, he could be staring right at it, ready to play it, and that guy just outrun his angle. His acceleration isn't great. His redirection from, hey, I'm here to stop, change directions, and go that way, it's not top notch. It's just not. So, again, that's part of the reason why you need to be careful with how you deploy him. And that's why, 3-4 outside linebacker, you ask him to drop into space. It may not be the thing you ultimately want to do. If you're going to ask him to be your 3-4 outside linebacker, it's not because you want him dropping into space a ton. It's because you want him rushing off the edge and being a nuisance in the run game and blowing up tight ends. And he's not technically savvy at all right now. Doesn't use his hands as well as you would like him to defeat blocks. He is not a guy that is able to stack and shed at the level that you would like him to at this point. He's not a guy that is doing some of the things like taking on a block with his outside shoulder or inside shoulder, keeping his outside shoulder free so that he can make a tackle. Just some of the little fundamental things that you want guys to be able, you would like them to come into the league being able to do. He's just not there yet. And then as a pass rusher, he's just not in that frame of mind of how to set up a tackle. You know, how am I going to gather my steps? You know, how am I going to attack this tackle's outside shoulder to get him to open up his hips so that I can go inside and cross him over? Like, he's not thinking like that right now. He's just not technically savvy in the physical sense, but nor the mental side of the game either. So right now, I see him as a late first to an early second. I would be I'm more on the second round side of the fence than I am first. But, you know, in this league with pass rushers, they get pushed up a lot of times, so I could see him sneaking into the first round. My comp for him is Hassan Reddick. And, you know, what's so interesting about Hassan Reddick is it took the Arizona Cardinals about, I'd say 3, maybe even 4 years to figure out what he really was. And I think everybody knew coming out of Temple that Hassan Reddick needed to have his hand in the dirt. And for some reason, they thought he needed to be off the ball. And he wasn't as productive. They tried to put him down in sub packages to rush the quarterback, and he just didn't. It's almost like a batter coming into the game. And if you're a hell of a pinch hitter, if you're just a professional hitter, you don't need, you know, ABs to get into a rhythm. But if you are one of those guys that can't come off the bench cold and hit, that's an art. You need to see the pitches. You need to be in the ball game, and you need to be able to set things up. Same thing with like a running back. Some guys can't come in the game cold and just expect them. They need to have a rhythm, and they need to be able to set things up so that later in the game, they're able to expose the defense. Hassan Reddick was one of those guys that just needed more reps as a defensive end. We saw it this year. He put up double-digit sacks for the first time in his career and had a monster game against the Giants in the Meadowlands one week. And I think they just took too long to give him a chance to rush the quarterback. I see a lot of that in Azeez Ojulari. They were doing so many different things with him at Georgia, you know, dropping him into coverage, moving him around. He's chasing tight ends around. Like, that's not what he should be doing. Stick his hand in the dirt, let him rush, or stand him up outside 2-point stance and let him rush, man. So I think whoever drafts him needs to understand that who he is, what he is best at, and just let him do that. Don't have him doing a bunch of things that are going to make him have to think, slow him down. Let him go after the quarterback. I see a lot of Hassan Reddick in Azeez Ojulari. He is my 6th edge rusher in this 2021 draft class.
LouieTeeNetwork.